Hi, everybody. This is Mark Sterneman with Net Law. I'm glad you could join us for this week's weekly webinar. We're going to be talking about something that's come up. Usually I ask for suggestions on what the next webinar is going to be about, and this is one that came in to me, and it's going to be talking about what do we do when someone passes away? What are the steps that we need to do? And Stan Craig is going to talk about that today, and give us all the requirements that are needed and some stuff that maybe you haven't thought about that maybe people need to be called, government offices need to be called, like the Veterans Association or anything that may be tied to that person. So really excited about today's webinar, and I appreciate the email in that gave us this idea. And as always, if there's anything that you want us to talk about, please give me your name and your information. My email and phone number will be up at the end of the presentation. So just shoot me over an email and I'll be glad to get that webinar scheduled for you. Okay, sorry about that. We had a technical glitch here that shut me out for a while. So I am going to start over because I have no clue how much you all heard from me there. So people came running in after the power flickered here and shut me down. So glad to be back with you. So let's start over. Net Law is an estate planning law office firm that was created out of the law office firm of Hargrove Madden. So we are a straight technology company that focuses only on estate planning. We are out of Louisville, Kentucky. So the weather here is pretty miserable. It's cold and cloudy. So wherever you're at, I hope that it's a whole lot better than here. So what you get in a net law plan, you get the 7 basic documents that come in an estate planning package. You get your will, which includes a trust for children and grandchildren. And why is a will important? That's where you set up your executors. You set up your guardian for minor children. You leave specific bequest, taking a certain asset and making sure that the specific person that you want to get it gets your assets upon your passing. It comes with a revocable probate avoidance living trust. And why is that important? We all know the struggles of going through probate. If you've ever done that, it's time consuming, it's expensive, and with this trust, you avoid probate. Power of attorney document. Power of attorney document, there's your financial power of attorney. So this is the person that's going to make your financial decisions for you should you be unable to do so for yourself. We also take care of the 3 healthcare documents that are very important. You get your medical power of attorney, your living will, and HIPAA authorization. You know, your medical power of attorney, kind of the same thing as power of attorney for your finances, but this is for your healthcare. This is the person who's going to help make medical decisions for you should you be unable to do so. You get your living will, which in some states is an advance directive. End of life decisions. So, you know, do you want to go when time comes up? Or do you want, you know, the doctors to do everything they can to keep you alive? All of those questions can be answered in those documents. And lastly, your HIPAA authorization is where your family members or friends can talk to doctors, talk to insurance companies, see medical charts, all of that. This plan also comes with a life vault. So it's your online storage facility where you can store not only your estate planning documents, but all of your important documents, passports, pictures, IRA statements, everything that's important to you can be stored in these for easy access should your family members ever need it. We offer access to national network of attorneys. So if there's any kind of document that we don't offer, we can get you to the right people to get that document for you. And as always, your spouse's documents are included at no price or no cost. So one plan covers both husband and wife. As always, new agents that sign up with NetLaw receive a 30-day buy one, get one free offer for their clients. So if you're a new agent, you're within your 30 days and you sell a plan, that client actually gets 2 plans, one that they purchased for themselves and one to give away for free to any one of their choosing. So it's a great way for us to help out the new agents. Remember, you don't need a license to sell this product. So it's a great way to kickstart your career if you're a new agent, or if you're just, you know, maybe you were in retirement and you're getting back into just doing something part-time. This is something easy that you can sell, because remember, 60% of Americans don't have a will, and 90% don't have all of these documents that we offer in the NetLaw plan. So it's almost everyone that you know probably needs this plan, or they know someone who does. I'd like to bring on Stan Craig now, and he's going to talk to you about what you do and who you call when the unfortunate time of someone that you love, someone that you care about, has passed on. So Stan, take it away.
Thank you, Mark, and thank you for joining us this morning. I'm really pleased to have a chance to chat with you again about something that is so important. It's one thing to have the documents. It's another thing to know what to do with them when you have them. So I want to be sure we all know how to guide our clients, and not just guide the clients, but the truth is, this is personal. This is something we all need to know. As you know from my story, I didn't know any of these things when my brother passed away, and as a result, we had every kind of thing go wrong that could go wrong because we were ignorant. And yet, that's what happens to everyone who's ignorant. Things go wrong. And that's why I'm so pleased to have this chance to work with NetLaw and to help you understand what's required for you and for your clients. Winter is coming. I'm a big fan of Game of Thrones. My wife and I were in Ireland a few months ago, and we took the Game of Thrones tour and went out to see Winterfell and the castles and the places where many of the scenes were shot in that HBO series. But as you know, the title of the show is not Winter is Coming, it's Game of Thrones. And yet in every episode, generally someone reminds us that winter is coming. What does that mean? And why do they keep talking about winter is coming? Well, winter is coming is not only true in Game of Thrones, it's true for all of us. And winter is coming is really a saying that means something. It's a warning. When you hear someone on the Game of Thrones say winter is coming, they're not saying, hot dog, we get to go skiing. They're not saying, oh boy, snowball fights and snowman. It's a warning that the next phase of this story in life is coming. And then when they say winter is coming, they're reminding people, no matter how good it looks now, winter's coming. As Mark said, in Louisville, they know winter's here. Fortunately, we're in Florida, where it's beautiful and lovely and walking among the palm trees and in the sun, just like many of you may be in California or wherever you are. But the winter is coming. Life changes every day. And when we talk about winter's coming in life, we mean get ready. What you're seeing today may not be true tomorrow. The other thing that's interesting is in Game of Thrones, when they say winter's coming, everybody knows what it means. Everyone knows it's a warning and a reminder. And they also know that when winter comes, it affects everybody. It's not like here in the States where winter is coming. It means different things in different parts of the country. But in the Seven Kingdoms, winter's coming means the same thing. Everyone's going to be touched by this change. And, you know, winter is coming when death approaches us. Winter is coming when our lives move toward an end. Winter is coming when we have an illness that is chronic and is not curable. Winter is coming. It's going to affect all of us. And just like winter is coming in Game of Thrones, death is coming for all of us. But it need not be feared. And that's the facts. The facts are, if you're afraid of it, then it tosses your whole life into a storm of emotions. But we shouldn't be fearing winter or death. Just face it and be prepared. That's the difference. You can face it and be prepared, or you can walk around in fear. Those are the facts. And that's exactly what it means in Game of Thrones. Get ready. Winter's coming. What I want you to know and to be able to share with your clients is that winter is coming. And so this is an advisor's guide. And whenever you have to deal with this in your family, whenever clients have to deal with it with their own personal family members, when your clients who've purchased the NetLaw service find that they need to understand what next, then this is what you need to tell them. So listen, there's all kinds of lists about things to do. This is my list, right? This is the ForTalk list. And by the way, one of the things that's really important, and I didn't mention on here, but digital assets count. Digital assets count, which means that when someone dies in today's life, in today's environment, one of your clients, most of your clients are going to have digital assets. What does that mean? That means that many people will be reading their bank account online, their checking account online, their investment program online, their insurance online, their health insurance online, their social media is online. And you need to be sure your clients understand that they need to be prepared for digital assets. I was on the board of directors for a firm, a assisted living firm. One of our clients died. And the sad thing was that when his family came, they came to his desk and to clean out everything, and there was nothing there. Why? Because unlike others, he was prepared. He had everything done digitally. All of his savings, his bank accounts, his insurance, everything. But he didn't give anybody any passwords. They had to take that computer to court and get a court order to break into it to get his passwords. Listen, digital assets are important. And so let me give you a shameless promotion. My book, ForTalk, F-O-R-T-A-L-K, is available on Amazon. It's not expensive. It will cover everything you need to know about end-of-life planning. And I also have a ForTalk seminar that I can make available to some of you if you want to show it to clients. I've spoken to several of you these past few weeks, and so there's at least some guides on how to do a program in there, and there's a checklist. Now, let me tell you about the checklist. The checklist lists everything that we're talking about here, but it also includes that digital assets. And you're free to download the checklist to copy it. You may just get one copy of the book, but you're free to make as many copies of that checklist as you would like and hand it to your clients, because this is a help. Remember, NetLaw is a service. We're not selling a product, we're offering a service. So I want to be sure you understand what's happening here. The things that you need to know are that you have got to be able to arrange for transportation. Let me go back because it looks like I skipped one here, and I don't want to do that. The reason is what I'm sharing with you is too important to skip any slide. So let me go back and be sure I get this number one point. I'm going to move up. Pardon me for doing this. There. First things first. This is where we want to be. The very first thing you need to know is that if your client has made a designation as an organ donor, you need to check that right away. In fact, hopefully they've told their important family and loved ones. If you are an organ donor, Gloria and I, my wife and I are organ donors, says so on our driver's license, but it won't be done unless somebody knows that. So the first thing to do is to check that, and the local hospitals do this all the time. Anybody around you, they can come and help harvest that organ, which is really, really important. And then they will take the body on to the funeral home or to the mortuary, wherever you're going. But you really need to know that that's key. People are alive because people donated kidneys and they donated other organs, skin, bone. It is amazing what doctors can do with donated corneas from the eyes, give sight to the blind again. So if they're an organ donor, you want to be sure just to call first. Now, my brother died in the hospital. My mom died at home. It doesn't make any difference where they die. You need a legal pronouncement of death. Someone needs to do that. A doctor needs to sign off that this person has, in fact, become deceased. The legal pronouncement just means that there's a death certificate. If you're in a hospice and home, then that's terrific. Hospice care, just call the hospice nurse or your hospice person, and they'll come and certify the death. When my mom died, she was under hospice care. The hospice person was there within 30 minutes. And it was very helpful in saying, I'll be sure to certify the death and take care of that. So she did all that for us. If you're in the hospital, it's a breeze because the doctors there will certify the death. But you need that done. It's really important. Now, here's this thing that you need to know that's a little scary. If you or your family member passes away at home, somebody calls EMS or 911, and there's a problem with that. One is they're going to show up at your door, whether it's a fire truck with sirens blazing and firemen in helmets and slickers and jackets carrying in equipment. They're going to come in with their full bore equipment because that's what they do. Or if the ambulance gets there first, they're going to come charging in with their sirens blaring and lights flashing, and they'll come in with a stretcher to carry the patient or your loved one away, or you. When my mom died, we did not call 911. We called the funeral home. You're going to have me explain that to you a little bit later. But the reason you don't want that is it is a huge embarrassment. Everybody in your neighborhood, in the apartment building, in the house is well aware that there's something horrible going on here. And the worst thing is not that everyone knows, but they're going to come in and assault a dead body. They will do artificial respiration. They will do injections. They will break ribs. You know, that's what they do. If you have to, call 911, but man, it's better to call the funeral home or a mortuary. If you do call 911, be sure you have that do not resuscitate that it should be in that will, so they don't come in there and assault the body. That's exactly what you do not want done. 911 should never be your first choice. The second thing is you've got to arrange for transportation of the remains. Most of the time, there's no autopsy needed. It's, most death is fairly simple. The heart stops, the disease comes, or age overtakes us. So just let the funeral home know, or the moratorium, or the mortuary rather. What happens is that when that takes place, and after you have the death certificate, you just simply call the funeral home and tell them. In fact, you should have spoken to them a long time ago, and I said, here, you got to arrange that quicker. You need to know where the body's going to go. And even if the funeral home does nothing but clean the body and dress it, or in some cultures you may keep it at home, it's still important to have that funeral home come by and do, number one, help you with the documentations. They do that. They don't have to do the burial. They don't have to do embalming. They don't have to do any of those things, but it's good to chat with them beforehand and let them know what you expect. They generally put the obituaries in, and there is wonderful services from a full service funeral home. But even if you don't want the full services, that's okay. They can do just partial ones. Most of the time, we want the body prepared for death, especially if there's going to be a viewing. If there's not a viewing, then a crematory takes them, and many funeral homes now have crematoriums. So it's really important you arrange to have somebody come in and take the body away. That is general the funeral home. In general, it's a mortuary. It can be 9/11. If it's in the hospital, still the body needs to be taken away. Generally, it's a funeral home. It's often the mortuary or the crematorium. But the body needs to go somewhere. Very seldom does it come back to the home, except in some cultures. All right, let's continue. You've got to notify the deceased doctor. The reason you do that is that doctor, number one, needs to take them off the platform. Number two, needs to know they're not going to be called to show them up. And many times they're the one who will provide the death certificate if hospice didn't, or if they passed away at home. If they passed away at home, you notify the doctor, or you can call the county coroner and have a death certificate. Death certificates are really important. You can't get Social Security benefits cut off or survivor benefits paid without those death certificates. They are important, and they're generally provided by the funeral home, but the coroner can help you with that if you need to. Call the family, friends. Now, we all know that, but here's the deal. It's wonderful when the family or friends come on and say, how can I help? It is really important when you make those calls and say, could you help by? Number one, will you call all these names? Will you get in touch with these people? Will you call the Masonic Lodge, or the WMU, or the CIA, you know, or whatever organization that they belong to, the local parole officer, you know, all those things. I don't know, but it's good to have somebody call for you so you don't have to make all those calls. You want to call the immediate family, and then someone's going to be wanting to know what are the details, and they're going to ask you, one, what happened? They're going to ask you not what happened, but what next? So it's good to be prepared a little bit for that before you make these calls. Most of us have some dependents that we have, children, close friends, spouses, and many of us have pets. So if the person was living by themselves, you need to arrange for someone to look after the relationships with dependents and someone to look after the pet. You know, what if you're both traveling? Gloria and I are getting ready to go to Hawaii for a couple of weeks. If you are in Hawaii, we'd be happy to chat with you or help in any way we can. But we're going to be in Hawaii, leaving on Saturday, be gone for a little while. Our dog's going to be in a kennel. Well, somebody needs to know that, right? Because what if something happened to us while we're gone? Poor Daly, you know, if no one's taking care of the kennel bill, they're not going to keep him there. And our little doggy could be in difficulty. You know, Mint Law provides a pet trust. You know, Gloria and I have a pet trust, $5,000 for our little doggy. You know, it's because we care about that guy. So someone's got to know that kind of information and take care of dependents and pets. Now, the executor is not the trustee. Remember, the executor is named in the estate. And what happens is that durable power of attorney for health care, the durable power of attorney for finance, those are only while you are alive, and durable even when you are incompetent. And you know, we've said you've heard this seminar before. If you haven't, go back and listen to some of the others. But durable means it endures when you're not. And so many things can make us incompetent. A head injury, a fall, anesthesia in the hospital, a coma, medications can make us incompetent, alcohol can make us incompetent. So those durable powers of attorney work when we can't, but they cease the moment of death. A power of attorney, all of them are no good at the point of death. At that point, the will, it names the executor, and the executor has full control of everything. Everything. What to do with the property, how to plan anything, paying bills, what to do with the estate, how the funds are dispersed, signing documents, opening the account for the deceased. The executor is really important, and that's a term in the will. Now, if this person was employed or receiving Social Security or having a pension, someone's got to find out about that, whether there's a life insurance policy. And the person authorized to do that in the will, and in most states, is the executor. You just can't call up and say, hey, did Granny have a will? Hey, did Uncle Bill have a life insurance policy? You can't do that. They won't give you the information. Only the executor who is authorized to do that by the will. And if you announce you're the executor and they need proof, you can do that through the will. But the executor is really an important person, and that's the person you name in the will. Remember, with net law, you want to name an executor in your will, and you want to name an alternate executor and a third alternate. Remember, I've told you before, Gloria and I am Gloria's executor Glory's mine. We have an alternative in our sons and a third alternative, because we have no idea what's going to be happening in their lives or ours. So you want to name a first person executor, second alternate, third alternate. It doesn't hurt to have four. But remember, never have two. Where there are two, there are disagreements, and you do not want that. You want one plus an alternate in everything. One durable power of attorney for finance, one durable power of attorney for healthcare, and an alternate, not two. So many times clients will say to me, Stan, I want both my son and daughter. No, you don't. Listen, your son and daughter have been fighting since they were little kids in the first place. You think they're going to agree over this? You know, come on. Even if they love each other and love you the most, I'm telling you, when they start reading the will, they start looking at each other with a different set of eyeballs. So you want to have one executor and one person to follow through. That's really, really important. So I hope you understand how significant that is. Now, within a few days after death, we've talked about what to do immediately. The body needs to be taken care of to the funeral home. The executor needs to get the information, need to call the family. But within a few days after death, you need to find out if there's a prepaid burial plan. Now, in my book, For Talk, I am a big fan of prepaid burial plans. The reason is when someone dies, someone's got to write a check. And frankly, the average cost of a funeral can be, $2,000, $5,000, $9,000. And these guys can sell you big stuff. I mean, casket showrooms can show you the super duper Cadillac actually one with Cadillac emblems on it if you want. I mean, they can show you stained glass praying hands, statues of the Buddha, whatever you want. That can be on that casket for a price. Ka-ching, anything can be done. Let me just tell you why a prepaid funeral is so smart. The person who is going to be the beneficiary of that, me, for example, Gloria and I have done ours, I've already prepaid it, so I know what I'm going to spend. And my family's not coming in and being sold something, because I've already said I want this plain old casket. We don't want anything fancy. We're going to have a memorial service. We'll have a viewing early for the family. It's all done. So it's really important because, folks, some people will buy a prepaid plan and not tell anybody. That money is totally gone to waste. And by the way, when you do a prepaid plan, do it with an outfit, a funeral home who you trust. There's some bad stories here. That's why funeral homes like Dignity and others that are nationwide do a really good job of that. So just be careful. And then be sure, even if you don't have a plan, that when the family member goes, gosh, have somebody go with them. It's so stressful. Even if you're prepared, it's stressful. If you're not prepared, you get stress on stress on stress on stress, and it's overwhelming. But going to the funeral home is a stressful time. It's just stressful. So, or the mortuary or the crematory, wherever you go, where the deceased is there, or even if they're not present, you know how meaningful this is to the rest of your family. So have someone go along with you. It's really important. It's amazing to me when I'm in a city where we've done seminars, I can see the people who've written their own obituary. It's meaningful, it's touching. It doesn't list everything since, played trombone in the high school orchestra and sang the Star Spangled Banner for the football game when he was 12. That nitpicking stuff that your kids or somebody else might think is important, you write your own, and it becomes a testimony of your life. What's really meaningful to you? Not that you blowed your horn in high school. That's really not what's important. So pre-plan your obituary. The funeral homes generally place those. Now, here's another thing. Number 8 is really important because many of our clients have served in the military. They belong to the Masonic Lodge or some other fraternal order. Fraternal order of anything generally provides funeral service. We've done services for policemen, and the police honor guard comes. We've done it for the military honor guard comes. We've done it for the Coast Guard. There are all kinds of marvelous, meaningful things that make this period a beautiful time and give sweet memories to the family and honor the memory of the person. So you need to know what all those organizations are and contact them. In some cases, there may be burial benefits. For example, you don't have to pay for a 21 guns, not a 21 gun salute, but for a rifle salute to come from the military, or for the Masonic Lodge to come, or for a military guy to come and bring a flag. Those are gifts from those organizations to the people who belong there. And you as a family member can contact them, not just the executor. The executor has the right to do it. And if there's money involved, it needs to be the executor. Okay, let's move on to number 9. You know, one of the sad things is there are crooks in every community. I mean, crooks in every community. And a favorite time to break in homes or apartments are one during funerals, because they know that everybody's gone, or when they know somebody's deceased, because now the house is empty. It's really important to have a friend or relative watch over the home, just to be sure everything's okay. Stop by every day. Look in on things. Water the plants. If there's newspapers or mail piling up, notify the mail, the post office, and the newspaper place. You don't want to advertise to the neighborhood that this house is unoccupied with a lot of stuff in there. And remember, you and me may have nothing. We may have nothing but bills piled up on the kitchen table. But if you've got any stuff, somebody will carry it out, right? I mean, you've seen that happen before on TV, carrying out the most silly things just because they can. And sometimes folks will come in, and if that house is empty and they got in the first time, they'll come back till they go through everything. So it's good to have somebody look over the house. You know, those are the things you need to do within just a few days. Now, 10 days or later, because you're not going to get a lot of this stuff done first, you want to be sure you have multiple death certificates. Don't forget them. If, let's say the person died 3 days later, there was the funeral, or 5 days later, then you can't forget to go back and get these death certificates. They'll be prepared for you by the funeral home, by the hospital, by hospice, but you need to get those. Now, number 11, why am I talking about attorneys when we're in net law? Because you still have to have someone notify the court that this person is deceased, and they were deceased with a trust in place, so you don't have to go through probate. Even with a net law package, that saved you a ton of money in preparing it. But an attorney can go ahead and take care of the state documents and the state filing, and that's worth the $200 to $300 an attorney's going to tell you to do that. We had an attorney, even though we had one attorney for my brother, who I told you was totally incompetent because his job was to get my brother out of parking tickets. We had another attorney for when my mom died, and although all the documents had been prepared, it was really important to have somebody walk through the courts, file the documents, and in his case, unfortunately, we had to go through probate. So talk to the attorney when this is done. Most of us have an attorney who's a friend. Just say, this has happened, this is prepared. What do we need to do next? And every executor should open a bank account in the name of the deceased estate. The reason I think this is necessary is because Social Security checks, pension checks, any other checks that keep coming in will not stop just because the person is deceased, because the organization or pension fund does not know they're no longer alive. So when checks come in, you need to just put them in the bank. You may also have a savings account or a checking account from the deceased person, and they're not going to be able to write checks anymore. The executor does. So you take the will to the bank, they see that you're executor, they open an account in the name of estate of Stanley L. Craig, right? The estate of Gloria D. Craig, the estate of Velma Howlett, the estate of John Q. Public. And then you can write checks on that estate, because remember, when somebody dies, somebody has to write a check. That's just the way it works. So it's really important that you get that done. And you don't have to do it immediately, but within 10 days, a couple of weeks, you want to be sure that that's done. Now, I said contact a trust and estate attorney. You can call Net Law, and just say, hey, look, my client's a Net Law account, or my family member, I'm a Net Law client. It's really important that I get to speak to someone and chat about what's next. Now, if you are in a state, listen, Louisiana is so confused that not even attorneys know what to do. So you might need some advice in your state. And there are attorneys in every state who are part of the Net Law Network.
And while our folks, Mark and Mary and Jamie and all the other folks there may be able to help, our other attorneys, you really need specific state help, and you know in advance you may need to spend another couple of $100s to have them walk through something, but it's really, really important. So many things NetLaw can help you with, but some things you may have to have an attorney. Remember, this is not document presentation, not document storage, but document execution. And most of us cannot do that ourselves. Document just making them work, implementing everything in the document. That's why it's good to know, at least have an attorney close by. These will be minimal charges. They're one-time charges, but they're important. Remember I said about people coming in and robbing the house? Well, you may want to check on the local police in your area and just tell them, my grandmother's house is empty. I'll be checking in, but I'd like you to stop by, look at it. If lights are on, you may want to knock on the door. It just is helpful to know when that's done. You know, what happened to taxes then? And is this going to be involved in tax situation? Well, the general answer is no. You know, the state's not going to be large enough to be taxable. But in my brother's case, unfortunately, because he didn't have any of this done, his estate was fully taxable. And before we could do anything, we had to pay the state. Not the estate, the state had a claim on those assets because he died intestate without a will. When you die without a will, guess what? State's got one written for you. You really don't die without a will. Remember, no one dies without a will because the state has one written for you. I don't think any of us want the state to write our will. But if you don't do it, the state already has one prepared, and that is a mess. It will. You talk about, remember I said when you go to the funeral home, it's pain, and it applies pain on pain. Listen, the pain won't stop if you don't have this stuff done. If you haven't done your NetLaw package for yourself, you are going to inflict pain on everybody around you that you love the most, and on your heirs. For example, my brother didn't have it done. He didn't have a spouse to pass it to at that time, so everything went out, 0.5% went to the state. It's not a good thing. But the only way to find out for sure, talk to an accountant, your own, or a tax preparer. Generally, it's good to just talk to your local accountant. Now, the executor ought to get every bit of information you can. I mean, number 13 is contact after contact after contact, because that's what the executor is there for. You got to get all the information on bank accounts, insurance accounts, any brokerage accounts, any deposit accounts, and the passwords, and the username. Username without a password is useless. And everyone's changing them all the time. You know what that's like. Plus, you may want to end the Facebook account. You don't want him to post to Facebook. You may want to say, my brother John, and let me comment on that just for a second again. Just an important aside. Do not announce it on Facebook. Do not announce it on Instagram or anything else until you've talked to every member of the family. Good golly, do you want anybody get a Facebook? John Q. Public just passed away today. They go, huh, what? That was my uncle. No, don't do that. I read a story in the New York Times over the weekend about a brother who was in New York. His dad passed away in Florida. He was emotionally bent out of shape, didn't get a chance to talk the details, called his sister, talked to her. She was away. And the next thing he knows, a friend posted on Facebook. Gosh, that's just wrong. So you want to have control of those Facebook accounts, all those social accounts, especially in the name of the person, but you want to do the first calls and the information. That's only the kind thing to do. Then if you are the life insurance agent, good for you. You need to be. That's really critical. Every person needs life insurance, if nothing else, just to cover the cost of burial. A burial insurance policy is important. Just the simple stuff. You know, life insurance is a critical component for every family. Anybody with children under 18 without a life insurance policy is guilty of child neglect, in my particular opinion. That's because if my wife dies, it's going to cost a ton of money to replace a wife and all the stuff she does around the house and taking care of the kids. If the husband dies, it's going to cost a ton of money to take care of the family. and the college education and the cars and everything that's needed. Life insurance is the basic policy, is a term policy. If you can get a full policy that's a good investment policy and it helps you, you need to do that. Gosh, it's so important. And I trust you will be the agent. You know exactly what to do in that case. You know, I don't sell life insurance, but I'm telling you, I'm a firm believer. I've seen what happens to families who don't have it. Remember, life insurance is the only product you can't buy when you need it, which is really, really sad. So, Social Security, here's the number. You need to call Social Security. If you get a Social Security check and you deposit and pay it out, you are in big trouble, my bud. You're big trouble. You don't want to do that. Social Security checks have to be returned. Other things have to be returned. But here's critical numbers. Don't receive cash that the person does not do. You can go to jail for that. That's called fraud. So you need to call the company providing the checks and have them stopped. In my mom's case, she had a pension, she had Social Security, she had a policy. We had to deal with all of those things. And you know, if you don't stop the utility company, they're going to keep on billing you. AT&T, whoever your cell phone carrier is, the lights, the water, they're going to keep on billing you their costs every month as long as that account is open. So be sure you change and stop the surface. That's what the executor could do. That's really important. Now, I want you to remember, winter is coming. And folks, this title, I didn't pick this title because I thought it was cute. I picked it because it has specific meaning. In that show, Game of Thrones, it means get prepared, get ready, be warned. It's going to come whether you're ready or not, and it's going to come with challenges, and it will come. Someone's got to know the location of the certificates, the marriage, divorce, security, life insurance, passwords. That's why it's so important that NetLaw is digital. Remember, NetLaw is personal, conversational, digital, and done. Now, let me say something else. You've got to do that silly $8 a month. What? $8 a month? You can't buy a cheeseburger and fries for $8 a month in most places. $8 a month means these documents stay in effect. They're always in effect, but they stay accessible. You don't have to go looking them up. Press the button, put in the password, they're there online. That $8 a month after that first year keeps these digital documents there for your estate, for your executor, for your durable powers attorney. Every time you go to the hospital, your HIPAA things are there. That $8 a month, not that big a deal. Be sure your clients don't drop out and say, well, I'm done. I don't need that silly $8 a month. Oh, yes, you do. Why? Winter is coming. Winter is coming. So be sure the family knows everything. That's really critical. Have those conversations. They're really so important that we have the 7 critical conversations. That's the title of Fore Talk. And again, shameless promotion, but if you don't know the 7 critical conversations, you've got to be able to guide your clients through them. By the way, Fore Talk is on Amazon, the only place you can find it right now. Your bookstore can order it, but it's on Amazon. Now remember, NetLaw includes everything you need. And when you pay that $8, it's there whenever you need them. Not only is that everything you need, but whenever you need it. So keep copies of this checklist as the advisor. You're the one they're going to ask questions for. Be sure your client is not only has them and keeps them online, but gets the printed copies and shares them out with the people who are there. I mean, how can you have a living will and your family not know what you want to do? I'm going to create a document for you on NetLaw that you feel free to copy. It's a summary of vital information, and that'll be ready for you in the next month that you can download from the NetLaw website because you are an advisor, and you can get that free from us. Print as many copies as you like, and it'll also help you reach new people. All you got to do is show them this list and say, by the way, have you ever seen a list like this? How much of this have you done? And then again, I said before, golly, that $8 a month for peace of mind, for accessibility is really important. Sorry, this seems so filled with commercials, but you know, the truth is we pay for the services that we really believe are important. And I don't know much more important than being prepared when winter comes. Tell your client to write down everything. Listen. When a death occurs, you need to write down everything. If you're the executor, you got to write down and keep a calendar log. Today I did this. Today I did this. You have to have a record of every check because the attorneys and the state may say, well, you wrote a check to Bill and Bill is your brother, but he's not named in the will. You wrote a check to General Motors. You bought a new car, but you're the executor. That's not your money. You keep track of every check and note every conversation, when you spoke to whom and why. Get the family trust and all those documents done now. Listen, what a sad thing to offer the net law service for the client to agree and not get it done. Gosh. To me, that's worse than not talking about it at all. You explain to the client says, I believe in that, and then you ride off to the sunset without helping the client get those things done. It's just critical that you do that. Don't forget it. Game of Thrones, well, it's coming back on. We'll see the final series, but man, it takes place every day in families. Every family's got some kind of problem. You think your family's got problems? Listen, my family's got problems. We all have problems. And in every family, there's jealousy, there's divisions. But let me just make sure you understand, death complicates everything. Problems multiply, jealousies and divisions multiply. It's a huge difficulty when death is not prepared for. It hurts and hurts and hurts, and it just keeps on hurting. Sometimes it's scars that go on for generations. That's the idea of you and net law. I mean, you know why you're there? To solve problems before they start. What a wonderful thing, right? I'm here to solve a problem before it ever occurs. That's what net law and I are able to do. I really think you and net law are a great combination, and I'm glad to have this chance to talk about it. You offer one of the best services out there because so few people even know what we're talking about. They're not prepared. They're not helped getting this done. They think about it. They've read about it, but they don't know what it is. Gosh, if you take care of this, your clients are going to save thousands of dollars in taxes, fees, unnecessary hospital treatments, just by preparing. That you are going to help the people you're talking to. What a wonderful thing to be able to do and to help them where it matters most. Why should you do it? Well, winter is coming. Don't forget, winter is coming. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you joining me today. I always appreciate you all giving me your time. It's very helpful to know that you're there, and I appreciate you all taking the time to listen. Remember, this is always going to be online. You can look back and see it. Hey, next week we're going to talk about special cases for net law and how to build your business. I think you'll enjoy it. This is part of our Informed Advisor series. The other series, of course, is the Professional Advisor series, and we'll be talking about that too, about how to be more successful in what you do every day, about your beliefs and your abilities. In the meantime, gosh, Mark, Mary, and Vanessa, they're there to help you grow your business. So take advantage of it. There's the number, or just email us. By the way, I'm Stan Craig, which is scraig@netlawinc.com. Thank you so much for being here. So, Mark, questions? They're all there for you.
Thank you so much, Stan. As always, very informative. And I even printed out the checklist for myself, so I'm going to keep that on my desk just for when the calls come in about what to do next. That's a great checklist. And as I've told, I think everybody on the webinar, this webinar is recorded, and the slides will be available. You can find them at step6.netlawinc.com. And all of our webinars are recorded, so you can find any recording. So if you're looking for a particular topic that we've discussed in the past, you can just type that in and find some webinars that you need brushing up on. So thank you, Stan. Not a whole lot of questions coming in. Vanessa's kept up on answering all of those. So please send in your questions. This is your time to ask questions about anything that you need to know about net law. So go ahead and use that questions bar. If you need to get a hold of us, you can always reach us at our support email. It's support@netlawinc.com. And you can reach us at 888-604-4789. We are open 8:30 to 8:30, Monday through Friday. And if you need to talk to me directly, my email is msterneman netlawinc.com. And if you need to, if you're a SMD and you're looking for a webinar for your team, please let me know. Or, if there's anything that needs attention, client trainings, agent trainings, anything like that, don't hesitate to reach out to me. I would be more than glad to provide that for you. Got a question here. Yeah, okay. Dan asked, please repeat where the checklist is going to be available. That's on our agent website, Dan. It's step 6, STEP, the number 6, .netlawinc.com. And I'm sure Vanessa will put that out there for everybody. That is the last question. Yeah, Bush, go ahead and just give me a call after this webinar. Mary Lennox, she is asking a question. Can you have one individual trust and one joint trust? Usually, if you're just doing a joint trust with you and your husband, that's all you would need. With our program, it's either or. You would either have an individual trust for both yourself and your husband, or you would have one joint trust. If you wanted to purchase 2 net law plans, I suppose you could. I just don't see the benefit in that, of what you would put in one trust as opposed to not putting in the joint trust. So, Mary, it might be something that we talk about offline, and there may be a question that I'm just not thinking of that you have on why you would want to do that. So definitely give us a call at the support number, 888-604-4789, and I'll try and help you out with that. Yeah, Mary, you're right. In the community property state, yeah, the community property states can do a joint trust, absolutely. Okay, so I'm looking down and I don't see any more questions. I'm going to go ahead and leave this up for a little bit just in case people are typing or they're trying to get their thoughts together on what to ask. But it's 12:53 here in Louisville, so I'll give you back about 7 minutes of your day. I appreciate you joining us today, and I look forward to talking to you next week, noon Eastern, 9 Pacific, for our weekly webinar. Have a great day.